'cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary, it's about to be legendary.
So who's starting to feel like you have an idea of how we're creating these game plans? Guys, it's all about moving inefficient assets into efficient assets, low ROIs to high ROIs. And every single time I showed you an option that said, you could do it this way, you could do it this way, you could do it this way, I always tell them you have X number of options on your game plan. So Jeremiah had like 3 options. Nick had like 4 options. Mary Ann, you had 4 options, right? Jaden really right now looks like he only had 1 option. Well, I may or may not be able to buy a primary residence right now. Is that all? In every game plan, there's always 1 additional option. It's something we've created. I don't know where to find this anywhere else on the planet. And I'm talking about how do you buy real estate when you don't have money? And you guys know that we call this program the what program? Maverick. And a maverick is what? Someone that's going against the grain, outside the box. Dude, you guys know that like a young, dumb college kid that I had banks turning me down left and right before I could get my first primary residence. And that basement covered my rent after my refinance. So I lived in that home for free, which by the way, to have gone from a hole in the ground, 400 square foot apartment to like a 3-bedroom, nice-ish house, renting a basement that paid the mortgage, that felt like a really smart move because my parents wouldn't put me through college like my wife's parents were. So my rent was a really big cost, just like tuition was a really big cost in my life. And so it felt like a burden was relieved to do that. I used that equity a year later to buy my second house, and I used that equity to buy my third house. I only ever bought 3 houses for my first 25. Those 3 houses got me my start, and it was my father-in-law that showed up. You guys all know the story. He became my first partner, and we split it 50-50. And after I had bought several homes with him is when I realized that I could leverage other partners, other father-in-laws, right? Other people that had assets. My father-in-law wasn't the only human being on the planet. You know, Chris Milner knows this because you actually partnered with some people as well, right? And so what I did is people would follow me and say, Kris, how did you build your wealth so fast? And the reality is I did it as a maverick. I did it by going outside of the system. Most people don't do that. Most people say, I use the money I have and then I put it in real estate. That's great. But if you don't have any money, then you can't what? Then you can't put it into real estate. And the reality is, I was buying all these homes without needing money. And it wasn't until earlier when I launched the Maverick program that I basically said, hey, I'm gonna change the system and I'm gonna do something that I've never done before. Now I know this is review for many of you, but for those of you on my team that are watching this for training, this may not be review if you're brand new, or if you're my partners, you may not actually know this. But in a moment, I'm gonna be bringing up Cole as an example of a little walkthrough. But here's what it came down to. You see, when I partner with people, it's a 50-50 partner. They put in the money and they get to help make strategic decisions, not day-to-day decisions. For my 50%, what am I doing? Guys, we have a team of 200 pros. They're putting in 341 hours of work just for starting the investment property product. We're doing all of the long-term management. We're tracking everything, handling PPM, doing the accounting, taxes. We're handling everything in this whole game. How many of you feel that 50-50 makes sense? It makes sense with people everywhere. People all over find me on YouTube and they're like, I would totally do that. That's so much better than what I have been doing. So people feel that this is a good partnership model. Guys, I've partnered with so many people. I've had such a great level of success. And there is someone actually sitting at this table in this room that really was grinding my gears that he would just say, how do I get in real estate? How do I get in real estate? How do I get in real estate? And I decided to do something that I've never been open to before, which is how do I take my 50% and what would happen if we created a different model? This is the 50% that goes to the financial partner. But on my side, what if I kept 25% and gave the other 25% to the person that referred a partner? And why would I do that? Because there are people out there that don't have this, so they can't get that. And so if you will, Cole actually helped kick this thing off. Guys, give it for Cole. Cole coming up here. Cole, how old are you?
22.
22 years young.
Yes, sir.
And just getting started in life. And when we found you, we found you lying in the gutter of construction. right? I mean, in construction, I mean, you're at an age where kids your age are doing college or this or that, and you got yourself in this construction thing, and how were you feeling about it? Why were you doing it?
Because, I don't know, I just didn't want to do the regular thing, but I didn't want to go to college, but that was the best thing that I could make some decent money at my age.
So he was a maverick looking for an opportunity. Does this make sense? Ready to go outside the box, already made the choice to be outside the box, but didn't know what to do with it. And when you came in and kept bothering me about this, all of a sudden I proposed this experiment, and you invited your sister and brother-in-law to come to the event, and they decided to partner with me, and now they bought how many homes?
4.
And then your dad came to the event, and now he's buying homes. So Cole was the beginning of this whole concept called Maverick that said, well, Cole, listen, Cole actually got a job. He's working here, obviously, on our team. By the way, he's done a really great job, connects with people in a really incredible way. He's a young man looking for a start. And from the time that a year ago you were in construction to where you're at today, once we open this up, what's changed?
Everything. I mean, my future's changed. My confidence now has changed. Everything about my life has changed.
And here's what we learned about Mavericks. Instead of PYF, pay yourself first, there's a different type of PYF. This currency is actually not about money, it's about what? It's about relationships. Everyone that is in this tribe with me are 5 people away. By the way, assuming those 5 people will just each buy 5 homes, approximately $1 million. Like, we can show math that actually supports that. Whether it's less or whether it's more, right? But the reality is 5 people buying 5 homes, wait 10 years, and that has the ability to potentially mature into $1 million. So right now you've got 2 partners. One of them's already bought 4 homes. Your dad's going to buy a couple. So someone like Cole has the ability to actually say, hey, I'm going to social media and post a little bit, or I'm just going to share, some of Kris's results with people, or I'll share some of his YouTube videos or podcasts, and eventually I'm going to find people. Jaden, you've done this too. You did some social media posts. You found your first partner, and you find people that are out there saying, I want to do something better with my money, and now they're actually buying real estate. So if we found you today in construction, obviously to become a Maverick, people pay $1,000 to $2,000. So there's a sign up for some training and some other resources and tools and getting your own custom page. But basically I'm just going to syndicate Kris's material and have productive conversations and say, get a game plan with his team. Part of this recording is for my Mavericks so that they understand how we make game plans so that they can actually do this. You now possessing this knowledge means that you can have more productive conversations with people, as in social media post. Hey, anyone sick and tired of your 401k not paying you money, come jam with me and I'll show you how to potentially turn that into double-digit ROIs. You get someone that comments on that and you have a conversation, and all of a sudden you find out, oh yeah, I've got $80,000 in my 401k, and then I quit that job and now I don't know what to do. It's like, did you know you could probably buy 1 or 2 houses with that money and actually produce an ROI? Dude, talk to my team, click on the internet, let them do a game plan, and if he becomes a partner, there you are. So how many of you see the power of this? Right now, guys, we have just recently launched our Maverick program. We're very careful on how many people we're letting in the doors because we will only support as many Mavericks as we can support partners in buying real estate. But for people like Cole, who's already in the door, or Jaden, some of the others, it's all about providing a real way for people to do real estate without needing money. Does that make sense? Awesome. By the way, just curious, what's it been like for you and your family being like a part of this now?
It's honestly changed all of our lives because we're all talking about it together. We're investing with each other in just, we want to do more together now, invest in more in real estate and in just enjoying times now. It's kind of crazy how much it's changed my life, just this opportunity and my family's life.
Beautiful, guys. Give it up for Cole. That's awesome, bro. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so by the way, when you're doing game plans with our people, if you find someone that doesn't have the assets to invest in real estate, is this always an option? And by the way, just curious, out of all the tools of sharing, what is the most powerful tool for helping someone become a partner? You could say it's a track record.
I said crackers.
You could say it's YouTube and watching videos, but if you wanted someone to have an experience, it would be our quarterly events that we put on. So Mavericks right now, it's all about, hey, meet people, you can have them talk to our team. They don't have to come to an event, but when someone gets serious enough to invest 4 days of their life for a life-changing experience and get a free custom game plan, that's where a lot of magic happens. So Bottom line is there are ways to get in the game of real estate whether you do have money or whether you don't. My friends, I've got a few more things to share regarding credit and how we button down the tiniest details on building game plans. But this part of the training is really just you knowing that in every conversation you're having with someone, when someone is curious or they're excited, or, you know, Denise, when you're talking to someone who's written me an email and you're responding and letting them know, there's a way for you to hop on and say, there is a way, and my team can explain that. And have you heard about the Maverick program? Because bottom line is we want to make sure that people have a way to interact with us and know how to get into the game of real estate. Make sense? And so the question is, how do you maximize credit to buy real estate, and what do you do when you're in a situation where you can no longer use it at all? And the reality is there's 3 ways to keep on buying real estate. So we're going to show you what those look like.